I'm Coach Ant,
I'm Coach T. Fans that know some.
and today we have a special guest, my guy Seth with Go Legend Training. Seth, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Hey, living another day in paradise.
Hey,
Okay.
Seth, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, just so for our audience to know, we have Seth. Seth has a really good sports background. So Seth, can you explain to the audience just your background and pretty much why you're here today?
Yeah, so I'm a sports performance coach or a strength conditioning coach, whatever kind of title you want to give it. But I'm a former athlete myself. I played football at Ohio University, and grew up playing multiple sports. So I've always been around sports my whole life, and obviously continuing to do so, but just on the different side of it, working in the weight room and on on the turf and whatnot.
Okay, nice.
Nice. Welcome to the show, man. We want to get into some of these questions, man. We're going to hit on some NIL and some of your experience. Okay, so I'm gonna start it off with the first question.
But you know what? Before you do that and go into the next question, I think it's important for the audience to know just how in depth Seth has, some of the experience you had. So I know you've experienced some stuff with going through pro days and things like that. So as you
Yeah.
are getting athletes, together, just explain what that experience is like.
Man, getting ready for pro days and combines and whatnot, it's a process. It's one of those things like it's an interview. That's what it comes down to. But you have to look at it as an interview because you are performing for a job, and it's a physical interview. Much like also you do have those just in person, just talking interviews that you do have in those pro days because these scouts and whatnot, they do ask these very very specific questions pertaining to your personality, your character. Where they judge everything because they are making sure they're trying to get the best out of you, and even they try to catch you slipping too.
Yeah.
So, but overall, though, yeah, it's a process. It's one of those things. I enjoyed it getting ready for my pro day, as I got to perform in front of 27 NFL teams, and it was fantastic to talk with NFL coaches and scouts, get feedback, and continue to push forward. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me, but it is what it is. But it brought me to a new chapter of life, which I'm very thankful for, and it was. I enjoy every experience I had with that.
No, that's good
That's
because
good, yeah.
it gives you that experience as you're helping these younger athletes. You've seen a lot, and just getting them ready for those type of moments is really good. So no, that's good, Seth.
Yeah, man, it's great to hear. Some good experience there, man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and start it off, man. I want to talk transfer portal with you.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something to be talked about. So has the transfer portal basically turned into free agency? How do you see the transfer portal?
Through this past couple years, yeah, it was turning into a free agency. And now with NIL bigger than ever, it is becoming a free agency. But I do see, especially the last few weeks, they are trying to pull the reins on some of these transfers and also eligibility standpoints, as we've seen, as some of these guys are asking for 7th year, 8th year, 9th year of eligibility, which is insane to me. It's like
Yeah. Especially on top of
But-
that, junior college doesn't count towards your transfer now. So
Yeah. But it's still like these guys are asking for more years of eligibility,
Yep.
and some are getting granted and some are getting denied.
Yeah.
As we just saw with Trinidad Chambliss,
Yeah.
Ole Miss, he got re-granted his extra year because they finally went in, kind of deep dived, and realized that one of his years was a medical red shirt, as I saw. And so that first they denied his eligibility and then they re-granted it, which was kind of awesome because he's been great for college football
Yeah.
to be a fair state, player of the year, I think, and a national champion, and then go to the big stage in SEC. And still do the same things he was doing.
Yeah.
From a D2 to a D1. It was fantastic to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah. And it's no coincidence that a Mississippi judge granted him that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
So
let's,
yeah.
let's make
So
this
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's good, and it leads to my question. So, do you think that the impact of players getting an extra year. How is that going to affect, or you see it affecting high school players and you know them getting an opportunity or not getting an opportunity because teams are going with older players?
100%. So it creates two pathways. One of the pathways, unfortunately, is that they don't get that opportunity at a bigger school because the bigger schools looking for those more experienced guys. So they're pulling from the smaller schools that have experience, 20, 30, whatever games under their belt, and they're taking them out of the transfer portal. But for the high school guys, it does take away from the Power Four conferences for them. But what it does is if they think about it in a good way, they go towards the small schools, get developed, and then they can go over to the Power Four. And as I'm seeing that as we speak with some athletes that I've worked with, that's a plan of action
Nice.
at the smaller group of 5 schools.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So, do you feel like NIL is helping though, or is it just creating more chaos in the whole beast that is NIL and broken promises?
I say it helps.
Okay.
Because as a former college athlete who had no money, it was a struggle, and that was one of the things was like, you had to do what you had to do, work random jobs that paid little to nothing, that even if they would want to hire you, because a lot of times what I heard when I was in college was like, oh, you're a student athlete, your schedule's too conflicting, we can't hire you. And I'm not the only one that happened to.
Yeah.
And so for this being a way of kids that aren't able to get money from their family or more money with scholarships and whatnot, this helps a lot. It helps families.
Yeah.
And that's the piece where I love about it, is that it's helping families.
Yeah.
And then also it can potentially help kids set up for financial success and potentially create generational wealth.
Yeah.
And so they can pass it on from generation to generation. That's fantastic.
No, that's definitely spot on, because that's one of the things I see, and I'm all for players getting paid. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure it's it's done with some type of restrictions and regulations around it, because it just seems a little loose, and I think it creates some
Yeah.
disadvantages
Yeah.
within the game. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So yeah, when I think about that, you have. Well, I just want to ask this question, because you mentioned one thing about the players that you are training and going through that process. How has their approach with being recruited? How has it changed in a positive way? And are there some negative drawbacks to how they're going about their process?
Yeah. So I really think that with the hold on one second.
No, that's all good. See, Seth is actually in the middle of working,
Yeah,
people. He
yeah.
has athletes in the gym. So we had to get him on in the middle of working. So we appreciate you taking the time.
thank you for
so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of back to where we were. With the athletes I've worked with, my thing is I've been pushing with my athletes is the one thing of doing the recruiting yourself. As as athletes, we can't just stand around and hope they just come to you.
Yeah.
Because it ain't gonna happen unless you are that 1% of athletes that are the top notch, the ESPN 300. Outside of that, you got to do the work yourself. So
Yeah.
you got to do the calls, you got to fill out the questionnaires, you got to do the emails. If you do that, you are gonna get recruited, and you're gonna get that scholarship. You're
Yeah.
gonna get the money and whatnot. But you have to do the work. So it's one of those things. If you want to play at the next level, you got to do the work.
Gotcha. So you don't necessarily see the high school players fully getting pushed out, but maybe their path changing a little bit?
Path has changed a little bit.
Gotcha.
I don't think they're getting pushed out. It's just changing the path. One of the things I'm noticing too is that recruiting has went from being early to now it's extending to being later.
Gotcha.
As they're looking more at that development, and they're seeing how they develop throughout high school.
Yeah.
So I do see that quite often, and I just keep telling my kids that, because some of my kids are getting recruited early. They're getting recruited freshman, sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
and some are not. So I'm like, be patient, trust the process.
Yeah.
Your time will come. Everybody's got a different path.
No, that's good advice. That's
Yeah,
good advice.
great advice. Let's get into high school, and just to make matters a little bit more muddier, the OSHA recently tried to pass some. Well, they actually put something out there to stop Ohio high school athletes from getting NIL. So,
Yeah.
Do you think they're the biggest losers in this new system? I mean, with everything, with the NIL, and is it pushing their opportunities back even further because of this?
I thought it was a little ridiculous that they put a bill in place to try to ban it again. I mean, it's like, what is the reason for stopping it?
Yeah.
What does that affect with anyone else? It affects nobody in a negative way. If you put those stipulations, those regulations, and just keep it under control, it's fine. It just allows kids to have an opportunity to be able to make money to help themselves out with their name, image, and likeness.
Right.
Because not all of these kids, it brings me back to that point of like me as a kid who I couldn't get a job because I was a student athlete.
Right.
It's the same thing. We see all these kids that aren't able to get jobs because their schedules are so crazy.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, man. That's a touchy subject, man, because I know some of these kids. Speaking of that, how are you actually preparing your athletes for NIL?
How am I preparing for that?
Yeah, how are you preparing your athletes for that? The athletes that you train.
So depending on the athletes that I have, some of the athletes I have been setting up with a financial firm with their contracts just to set them up, whether if they want to go into it with a low risk investment or high risk investment, kind of either or. It just depends. But the financial investors that I have as like a partnership are fantastic people. They've been doing it for over 20 years. I trust them, and I make sure that especially with new athletes, I want them to go to people that they know that I trust, especially when we're dealing with money, and that they will be taken care of. So that's one of the things that I'm doing when it comes to that is setting them up with financial firms. The other cats, that are getting the lower end of NIL, but still getting money, I'm helping them just in general, just setting up plans of action with their own money that they do get, so that they can help themselves out at a smaller standpoint.
Nice.
No, that's good. And I want to add to not only the question, but I have a comment and a question. So when I think about that whole process, right, and you think, okay, high school kids, for the most part, let's say you're working a regular job and playing, sports in high school. So let's say you're making money that way. So you're used to making some type of money, having your own money. But when you are a student athlete and you're making money, there's a different type of like vibe and swag you may have knowing that, hey, I'm making money off of me playing sports. And, that can affect how some kids go about that. So how important is it for the parents to help that balance of not putting the cart before the horse? You know what I mean?
Good question.
Especially with the kid being a minor, being under 18, I think it's very important to have their parents in on and getting everybody to be on the same exact track.
Yeah.
And everybody thinking the same. Because if you have parents going this way, kid going this way, and there's too many different paths, it's going to be disruptive and cause chaos.
Yeah.
And it's just going to only cause problems. So
Seth working.
And one of those things is is that you have to just make sure it takes communication and just making sure that athletes and parents are on the same page.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, there's different circumstances where the kids they're 18 and older, and the parents are like, "Hey, he's an adult now.
Yeah.
He does with what his money, that he wants to do." So that's another thing is like when they become more independent in that aspect, that is a piece you kind of help them create that path that they know, like, hey, just because I got money doesn't mean I need to spend it right away and burn a hole
Yeah.
in my pocket.
Yeah.
So that's the piece there too, is just making sure they don't just burn the money right away.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Because
Yeah.
I just think about like not only about like spending the money, but just overall your vibe and how you approach the game, knowing that okay, I'm now a paid athlete. Is that going to affect the psyche, thinking that you've made it,
You've arrived.
you've
Yeah.
arrived,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how just keeping that balance, I think, is so important
Yeah.
for these young guys, going in, because that's young to be
Yeah.
getting paid to
yeah.
play sports.
Absolutely.
And I'm all for it, but I'm just throwing the caution
Yeah.
flags out there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like with that, it's crazy because money can change people.
Oh yeah,
And we see it with professional athletes all the time, unfortunately, where the minute they get money, they switch up.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest pieces that I do explain to my kids is like, hey, we have to be prepared. You're about to get a lump sum of money that you've never seen before in your life.
yeah,
Don't let it change you. Stay on the path. You didn't make it yet. You're
Yeah.
still got work to do.
Yeah.
And you have to keep pushing forward. Because
Definitely.
otherwise, we're going to become complacent
yep,
and we'll just settle being mediocre. And
Yep.
that's something I don't want to settle with.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I really push my athletes to not settle with being mediocre either.
That's good. That leads me to my next question. So, what challenges do you face with your athletes wanting pro level results without having the pro level fundamentals?
I couldn't quite hear you.
So, what challenges do you face, right, when you have athletes that you're during your training that want pro level results, right? They want to be pro ready, but they don't
Yeah.
have the pro level fundamentals yet. Well, how do you
Yeah,
approach
so
that? Yeah,
some of the challenges is, and this is the funniest thing with athletes, is it's unfortunately it's because of the killer of social media.
yeah, yep.
Because they see like different athletes, jumping really crazy high, they're sprinting really really fast, and they're like, I want that and I want it now.
yeah,
It don't happen like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the other thing is like I always like to say, I've been saying this forever, is Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was the body. It takes
Yeah.
time.
yeah,
You have to keep putting in the work consistently
consistency.
in order to see those results.
Yeah,
yeah,
And if you think that it's going to happen overnight and you're just going to be able to bench 500 or you're going to be able to squat a house, like, it ain't going to happen.
yeah,
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
I remember like some athletes I know, it took them multiple years once they got to a certain point of their strength level where they were excited just to get 10 pounds added to their max levels with certain lifts
yeah.
because they were at that real peak point of strength where it's really, really hard to add any more from there.
Yeah. No, and that leads to a comment that I have, and something I think about when I look at how trainers. There's so many trainers out there. We have some really good ones like yourself. We have some that's, they're mediocre. Some are not that good, but some, it's hidden behind like the athlete. I don't really see as many trainers showing like that before and after, because, for example, if you have some kids that just say they're super talented and you have a trainer that's, they go to that trainer, the social media effect sometimes would say, okay, this kid is good because of that trainer,
yeah,
when that kid also had that talent. You know what I mean? But when
yeah.
a
And
trainer
genetics.
showing like,
Yeah.
okay, I've took this kid and I helped him mold to this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like if you get a great athlete coming into the program, that's great.
Yeah.
But just seeing a good balance of that, I think that's one thing I see missing. Like, what is your take on that whole
Man,
aspect?
it's crazy because like it's true. I mean, there's these kids that come in everywhere and they're generational talent. I mean, they're just gifted with athletic ability. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
There ain't no way around that.
Yeah.
They already were, they were blessed with it. They got it.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, yeah, you help them where they're at and continue to develop them. And hopefully you can keep climbing the ranks with them, but as a sense of like, like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
No, you can't. That's something you can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to some of the athletes that you get that come in that are I like to call them sometimes baby deer, because or
Yeah.
giraffe
Yeah.
on roller skates.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it comes to like, okay, I help them develop, but still at the end of the day, as a strength coach, I'm not doing the work.
Yeah.
They are. So all I'm doing is just supplying the tools. And so whether that's, if they're with me for a little bit and they go somewhere else, I supply them to that point. Hopefully whoever they work with again continues to supply them with the ability to help them. But it still comes down to that athlete doing the work.
Yeah.
Because we
Right.
can't do it for them. We can't hold their hand for them. They have to do the work.
Right.
Right. Right.
No, that's good stuff.
No, that's good, man. So, I mean, that was pretty much the questions we have for you, man. But tell us how we can get to you, right? How we can contact you if I wanted to send one of my cousins or my son to come train with you. How can someone contact you?
Anytime.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Yeah,
What's
we
your-
got to figure something out.
Yeah.
You know,
What's your contact information?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Go Legend Training. So
Go Legend Training.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Y'all heard it.
Instagram.
All right,
Hit
organic
him up.
growth, man. That's how
Yeah.
it goes.
Nice.
sir.
Thanks for coming to the show, Seth. We appreciate
Of
your
course.
time,
Hey,
man.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for the opportunity of being here. I appreciate talking with you guys. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and get those athletes ready, man. We hear them in the back.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Hey, they're getting antsy.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
I
ready
hear
to
it.
get it.
Yeah. One of the things I keep showing them, I got my College Wall of Fame right here.
Okay.
And so a lot of my high school athletes and middle school athletes love looking at the wall and seeing all the different athletes for different sports sign the wall.
Nice.
So it's one of the cool things I started. I'm loving the growth from it, and
Yeah.
just continue to get signatures on there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
we got to bring you into the studio next time, man.
Yes, let's plan that. I would love to come in.
Okay.
Great. Sounds good.
All right. We appreciate you, Seth.
Of course.
All right.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right. Take care.